All right, thank you for joining me here. We're going to do a quick tooling of this fast tooling. It's a simple pattern, works great for like a women's wallet. I'm obviously just tooling on one piece here, but if you had a bigger wallet that was opening up like that, whether it's a checkbook or a women's wallet that opens up like that, either one, that pattern works great. But I have it transferred on there. The leather's wet down, and we're going to get right to work here. I appreciate you guys taking your time to join me here, whether you're catching me live or taking your time to watch this on the replay. I sure appreciate you. Be sure to hit your like and subscribe and notifications and all that good stuff so you never miss when we do go live here. And if you find value in what we're doing, find it either entertaining or educational, please feel free to share that out and help spread the word on stuff. So, hello, see you guys popping on here. I'm going to try to keep an eye on comments as we're going. So if you have any questions, I will try to answer those in real time here as we're going. And if you're commenting after the fact, I will still try to come back and catch those. If you're on Facebook, though, be sure to tag me in the comment if you can, and that'll help that notification come up for me so I can get to those questions. All right. Questions on this knife here. This particular knife is a leather wrangler's knife, and I run the same size of knife as I do with my Berry King. Is what I ran a lot before this knife, but this is a 3/8 barrel with a 1/4 inch blade. So I really like that for myself, but that's a personal opinion thing for sure. Now we're going to move on to beveling, and some of the questions I typically get are what bevel are you using? And this one is a XX steep checkered bevel from Berry King. I don't know the exact size on it. I think it's a 0. It's like the second to smallest size that he offers, though. But next time I see him, I'm going to dial in exactly the size of these tools I have and get them marked on there so I can have that for a reference point for you guys. Now, notice on all these lines that are still in the vine work, fade those out as you go so you don't see a definite start and stop to those when they're ending within your vine work, and that's going to help the flow of that overall look there. Hello, appreciate you guys all jumping on here. We are working through this pattern. It is a relatively fast tooling pattern, and it's a simple pattern as far as the complexity of it, but it really, I think, just kind of looks nice and can touch something off as far as a wallet or even using it on a little planner or notebook. You can just add that little extra touch of tooling on there. But this pattern is straight from my leather tooling book, and all the patterns in there are going to be similar in the sense that they're designed for more of your beginner tooler mind or the quick tooling as well. Not that these are patterns that don't look good to put on any of your projects, but I wanted patterns where the beginning tooler could tool them with relative ease, be able to follow along with the lines, what's where, and not get super confused or overwhelmed. If you're looking for more complex patterns, I have the specialty patterns, which has a little more intricacy to them. And I'm going to tool through those as well on another video, and those will actually be probably 2- and 3-part series, because we'll get through all the patterns that I offer there. Okay, so I've reached everything I can from this direction. I'm going to turn that project around, and now bevel everything else I can, or that I couldn't get from the first direction. Be sure to shoot out any questions you have there. I'm happy to answer those as we're live. Or if you're watching this replay on YouTube, be sure to throw those questions in the comments, and I will get to those as well as I can. You'll notice when I bevel on the inside of those curves, where it gets really tight up in there, I'm not running this flat bevel all the way around in there because I don't want to get any choppy lines in there. I can use 2 things to get in there. And what I like to use, I have a little small round bevel that'll get in there, and that actually kind of works as a lifter in those corners as well. Or just a smaller size down here where it's narrower, to where you're not getting those choppy lines in there. Okay. Somebody has so many live videos, quarantine getting to me. Yeah, this we are right in the middle of all this coronavirus quarantine stuff, which has given me lots of time in the shop, which is great. We had some events canceled that weren't not able to get to. And we're on the production team for, so it does give a little extra time in the shop, which is great, getting a ton of belts built. But then I'm working on getting through all the patterns that I offer for sale. I want to tool those up on these videos so you can see all the steps in them. For a lot of people out there that have those patterns and have asked for the tutorials on them, I wanted to take an opportunity to get those out. I've just been doing a lot of filming in the in the shop here lately. We have getting through these videos, and we have the Leather Life class videos, and then we just got done shooting and releasing the videos for the online drawing course, which just got released. So yeah, the camera seems to have been running kind of nonstop in here. Okay. Trying to catch up on a comment here. Let me see what... Okay, Steven's asking about decorative cuts. Yes, hang with me, Steven, and we will get through the decorative cuts here in just a minute, and we'll talk a little bit about placement and kind of some strategy that goes with that. That small bevel that I was using, that was actually a round checkered bevel, and so the face of that is round right there rather than being flat across there. That's what allowed me to get in those curves really, really nice and tight. The other option that I have in my tool bench here is a little itty bitty tiny guy, which that one's nice and steep as well, but that fits in super small places. I don't have to use that very often, but when I do, it sure is handy. Now this tool here that I'm running, this is a vertical line thumbprint. Your main difference between your thumbprint and your pear shader is your pear shaders are going to be a little shorter and wider, where this is longer and narrower. I really like the vertical lines on there because, as you can see, I run that tool more like I run a bevel and spread that shading out on there. I also have a horizontal lined thumbprint, and those you would more sit down and hit one time and have those lines running across. I would show you, but I don't have one in my bench or in my block there because I don't run one of those tools. I really like the vertical line here. I've seen people use the horizontal and make it look really good as well, but just everybody kind of has their own style of tooling. There's certain fundamentals that are going to be the same, but then you get into the individual styles, what you build as you go and develop the more you tool. But that's going to be one of those style preferences as far as what you use for your shading there. Whether you're using a horizontal line, a vertical line like this one. There's checkered pear shaders, smooth pear shaders, all that good stuff. But now we're starting to get some definition in there. Okay. I'm going to come back and grab. This is just, a question just came in on which side of that I'm using. I'll use both sides, just depends on where it fits at best in my project. So in these smaller areas, I'll spin that around and use the narrower side of that, and then in the end of that bigger pedal there, I'll spin around and use that bigger side. So no right or wrong, just kind of whatever fits is best there. Okay. This little tool here is just my kind of little home, not homemade, but home refined lifter. It's just an old tool. I don't even know what it started as, but it's all ground down to a little tiny kind of point there. It just touches off those little creases in there. I'm going to come back with that round bevel again. See how that acts as a lifter and kind of picks that up right there. Question coming in, Jessica. No, that shader there was a vertical line thumbprint that we were using. Okay, now I have this small veiner here. This is a Berry King as well. This is the scallop veiner, so it's got those kind of those little scallops right on that inside that you can see. This one, you'll notice I don't sit flat and hit it because I don't want that whole tool impression. I'm going to tip that tool, so I'm just getting this point out here and then softening that line to where it kind of fades out and disappears. My rule of thumb that I use is I look which way this swirl's facing. If that swirl's going around that way, that's the way my veiner is going to go. And I come to the outside edge. Okay? Start real light. Now as I'm going around here, I'm rotating that around as well. Otherwise we'll just run it off the side, and we don't want to do that. All right, brings out a little definition in that. Come around this side, same thing, start light. And we'll kick that around a little bit more. There we go. I forgot my other little lifter here that we got out earlier. I'm gonna put him right down in the bottom there. And then I'm gonna take this. This is just a small mule's foot. I come down right at the bottom of this little kind of seed pod here. Put one in pretty deep. And I just fade those off in there. Kind of like that for that pattern. It really stands that out in the middle there. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my bar grounder here, and then we'll get to our decorative cuts. But this bar grounder I'm going to use right down in these background spaces. I'm just kind of rotating and fanning those in there, so we're not trying not to overlap and mush a bunch of them down. We want those seeds to still kind of stand up in there, right? And then I'm going to come down on these outside corners, tipping that bar grounder back like I did with the veiner there to soften that edge. Fan those out, and it just touches off those little corner pieces in there. Do the same thing up here. And 2 more spots here. And I know you're sitting there thinking, Joe, you missed a spot. You missed a background spot right in the middle. How did you miss that? Well, that's actually the way I have this drawn is not, I'm not going to put that as a background space. That's going to be kind of a little seed pod there. So I'm going to do that with my knife for a decorative cut. You could also stack actual little seeds in there, like a small little cedar. And you could fill that little pod with seeds, but I like doing a little crosshatch work in there with my knife. It's just something kind of different, stands things out a little bit. All right, now let's talk decorative cuts. That's what we're down to, right? The last little bit is decorative cuts. So this one's kind of getting out of whack here. All right, where to put our decorative cuts? There's not a definite right or wrong. When you're getting started, I would say less is more. Don't get out of control here. And a good rule of thumb would be a starting place. Anywhere you've ran your thumbprint or your pear shader, good place to start thinking about putting your decorative cuts in. That's just a guideline. It's not a for sure every time, but it's a guideline. And where the purpose behind your decorative cuts is to add more flow and dimension, kind of help bring to life what your pattern is, what your tooling is, and all that. So there's some fundamentals when we talk about drawing. I know a few of you that have popped on in here have actually got the drawing course and have gone through that. And we've looked at those center lines that we're drawing towards to establish that flow. That's the same places you're going to be pulling those cuts to. And as we do this, I'm going to start them deep, bring some curve there, and then fade that out light. So starting deep and fading is going to be a huge key. And then having some curve to those lines and not just run straight lines is going to be the next key. Okay, here I'm going to pull one around there. And I never want to do just one cut by itself. That seems to always not look so good, right? So have at least a couple cuts when you do them, but you don't need 12. Now here, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to see that where I kick that around there. Not a have to, nothing telling me to do that other than it's kind of a bigger open stump, and I've played with different ideas in there. And if you look at lots of work, you'll get ideas and then start implementing that, and you'll kind of develop your own style. And that's where decorative cuts seem to be. You can kind of tell somebody's work from their decorative cuts too. Yeah, because everybody seems to do it just a little different. But I'll show you a different idea too. Like, so we did that on this stump. On the other side, I'll do them different. Same thing in our swirls. We can do those different as well. So this side, let's do this. We'll run a short one there. And then one bigger, longer one. Okay, so there's that look that we can do. And when I jump over to this other side, I'm going to do my decorative cuts different on this side, and you can compare and get some different ideas. And here, what did I do on that side? Okay. Give them kind of a different look. All right, so you can see when you compare those two sides, we have, even out in this one, we have 3 cuts staggered in there. Here we did a short one on the top and that longer one drawing out there. In our stump, I showed you here where we kind of made almost a stump within the stump. On this side, I did them completely different. I pulled that one out from the tip and then brought the other ones around. Okay, and again, if you did see that drawing video, we talked about kind of the C's and S's and that foundation, kind of the foundation building blocks to everything. So you're going to recognize some of that same stuff in your decorative cuts. This swirl, I did a lot of cuts just staggered in there. This one, 2 cuts, a short one and one big one. So there's different styles, different ideas you can do in there. This knife here was the exact same knife that I cut the pattern in with to start with. I do have another knife here. It's kind of fun to use sometimes. This one is a Berry King knife with a little itty bitty 1/8 inch blade. So you can do some neat stuff with that as well. You can do pretty comparable stuff with the other blade. It's just we can get in. Some nice little fine cuts, but with the bigger blade, we can still get in some good fine cuts simply by tipping that blade up. By tipping it up, we're just getting the point of it in there, and you make that blade where it's almost shorter, right? Tip that up, you got just the point, and you can get right around little cuts. Same thing with that little one. So lots of variations in the cuts there, and no right or wrong. That's just something you'll develop as you go. So appreciate you guys taking time to watch this, and if you find value in it, find it entertaining or helpful, please share it out. We'll continue through this series to work through all the patterns that are available, both in the leather tooling pattern book as well as all the pattern packs, which are all available on the website there. So any questions, let me know, or if you want more information about getting in the 23 plus crafters community, and you'll be the first to know about new patterns, get discounts and that sort of thing, please let me know and I will get you those links. So thank you, take care.